And welcome to the Craft and Calling. I am your host, Christine Marie, and I am so looking forward to our conversation today. We are talking about data management systems, which frankly can have a very boring connotation to them. Frankly, it's something that I think a lot of us have felt an unfamiliarity with, and thus we haven't really ventured into that arena. But what ends up happening is that we're not capturing customer data. We're not able to keep on schedule, on track with our jobs. We're not really able to capitalize on everything that we're building for forecasting into the future, for looking back historically to learn from the data that we've captured. And ultimately, we're not able to really scale and grow our businesses for the either preservation or legacy of the business moving forward. And so, Ron, I am so excited to have you here today. You have a CRM that you've customized based on your experience in the field, based on your experience of owning your own business in the trades. And I'm really excited to dive into this. And what I first really want to focus on is, there's a lot of aversion to systems and new ways of doing things for especially these smaller businesses. So I'd love for you to kind of talk through, what initially got you interested in the whole conversation around systems, processes, allowing for the data to really teach us.
Well, I think we touched on it some of the last time we talked, and that is the desire to not continue to have problems, to fix them, learn from them, and never have them ever again as you continue to grow a business. And that's what led me down the road of understanding data. What does that look like? Because I can have a feeling, you can have a feeling, we can have thoughts, and we make business decisions based on those a lot of times. And there's no underlying data. If we're not collecting any information in our business, we're really just making business decisions based on what somebody feels, what they think, what they thought. There's no hard evidence for it to be true. And
Mm,
that to me is making a very uneducated decision for your business. And I don't like that because that
right.
typically leads to more problems. So that's what got me into this word is I wanted to understand it. And we did a really good job of collecting data, and I had a lot of information. It allowed to be able to forecast, to understand. My biggest aha moment with data was I was trying to understand the ebb and flows and seasonalities of the business and what does that look like. And I was able to go back 5 years and
Wow.
get monthly revenue, put those on a 12-month trajectory, see what it looked like, compare 5 years worth of data. Now our data wasn't perfect by any means. We weren't good at putting it in. So, you put crap in, you get crap out. But if you consistently put crap in, it's the same crap. And I could see trends. I started to realize
Yes.
things. I started to realize when we thought was our slowest time really wasn't, and start to be able to make
Mm,
calculations on that. And that's what I realized, this is very powerful. If we have this information, if we can get the reports out of it, we start to understand business differently. And
yes.
that's not necessarily what led me down the road to have BuilderComs, but like that led me down the road to start to understand that this data that we're collecting is super powerful if you understand how to start to utilize it and make decisions based off of it.
So when you first started doing this, it really was, I love that you say put crap in. You get crap out, but it's the same crap, so you can at least analyze it and see what the trends are. Ron, that honestly kind of gives a lot of, there's almost a semblance of relief because for a lot of us, I know that when I first got involved in the family business, the only data that was there was on spreadsheets. And so it was very manual. It was almost overwhelming, the thought of looking at it and trying to identify trends. And it was all in my dad's head. So many of us, you said you think we know, we go by feeling, and I was speaking to another gentleman on this Craft and Calling podcast, and for him, it was all in his head, just like my dad. And so we've got data on spreadsheets, we've got data in our heads. It's so much as we can remember and retain. So what's kind of that first step that you went through and that you would advise other business owners to translate what's in their head onto paper, and then after that, what's the next step after, from paper to what?
Well, I would say, we don't have to think about it how I ever did anything because times have changed. We're in a different place.
Yes.
If I was in the position that you're talking about, where I have all of this information on all of these spreadsheets, all of this, just my thoughts written down, uh, I would probably put that into some kind of cloud drive, and I would connect it to ChatGPT. And it would be one of the most powerful ways to be able to start to actually understand that information that you have. And you can just have pinpointed conversations where I want to understand this, and it has access to that information. So it's going and actually
Yes.
searching through that information and giving you unbiased opinions, which is one of my favorite things about AI in a data situation, where if you give it, like, an example is I was doing a lot of demo calls, and I started recording them, uploaded them into a Google Drive, gave ChatGPT access to that, and started having conversations about the demos. And like, hey, what are the top 5 concerns? Like, we all can have blinders on. I mean, I wanted to understand what were the concerns our customers were having. Number 2 was security. I had no idea.
Interesting.
None. No, like, right over my head. If you would have asked me to give you
Right.
my top 10 concerns for all customers, security wouldn't even have made the top 10 for me. But from the
Wow.
data of the actual demo calls and the videos and the transcripts, data and security was number 2. That's an unbiased opinion. Like, the
Right.
ChatGPT has no bias to what Ron Nussbaum thinks. It takes the human element out of it. So if you give it raw information and ask it questions, it's going to give you the honest truth. So for me, that was an aha moment. We need to make sure, when people are concerned about security, we need to make sure that we're letting people know that we have built a secure platform. It's all the compliant, blah, 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 in our marketing, on our website, and make sure we address this in demo calls. So you can go in and get information, and I guarantee you will have an aha moment just by pulling information from what you already have. And if it's spreadsheets, if it's Word documents, if
Mm-hmm.
it's whatever, you can upload that into a cloud drive, and then connect a GPT to that, and just have a conversation, and it bases its answers off of the data that you have given it in that drive. So that is what
Mm-hmm.
I would do now if I was in that position.
Love it. And I want to get really, really simple here. When you say connected to a cloud, like a cloud drive, for me, I use Google Drive.
Yep, me too.
Okay, so Google Drive is a great example. And then I love what you're saying in terms of connecting a GPT to it. I know Gemini is a Google Suite tool that is used for on the AI side. But did you say you connect it with ChatGPT? How did you go about doing that with ChatGPT for the
Yeah, so
integration?
you can go right in when you're having a chat, or you start a chat, that you can connect your drive to it. You can connect your drive to your entire chat GPT as well. Or you can just upload the files directly into the chat. I find that can muddy the chat down a little, the response time, because then you're doing everything within chat GPT. One of the things about, if you go in, you click like that attachment button, but instead of attaching fires, it also gives you an option to connect to a Google Drive or a different kind of drive, whatever you're using, you can then connect that drive. So then it's not trying to process all this information right there in the chat.
Right.
It's going to Google, it's going to that drive, it's pulling the information, bringing it back and deciphering it in the chat for you. So I've done it both ways. I prefer to just connect it to the drive and then and I
Love
just
it.
thought I haven't tried it, but might be able to give it a link to specific stuff as well, because you can share a Google Drive through a link. So I don't know.
Notebook
I'm a
LM.
simple user.
Yeah, and I haven't ever connected ChatGPT to a Google Drive. I'm gonna look into that, and frankly, I'm not even sure. Would I just go to, like, how would I even go about doing that connection on the back end? Am I in the drive where I do that connection, or am I in the ChatGPT where I would do that connection?
So I would do it in the Chat GPT. Like I'll look at it
Okay,
real time here, so I know
that
I'm
would be
talking
great.
fast.
Let's
So
do
I
it.
just brought up my Chat GPT. I have a brand new. Where should we begin? And when I hit that plus sign, it says add fires or photos, fires, add from Google Drive.
Wonderful.
When I click on that, it brings up my Google Drive and everything that is in it. And you can search here. I can pull from folders, documents, spreadsheets, presentations, anything that I have in my Google Drive. And it's now doing it for that chat right there. How did you do
And
that? That
I
is
didn't know
pretty
I could do this.
amazing.
This is my first time sharing my screen for those of you listening and not tuning in. I'm sharing my screen, so
Oh,
check us
that's
out
your screen. I
on
thought
YouTube.
that was my
Yes,
screen. And I'm like, this is unbelievable.
I hacked into your computer. So this is where it says the little plus sign. So you'd want to go to start a new chat and you'd click on add files and more. So really, I love this because one of the things that Ron, you mentioned that I have experienced myself is that if I was to copy and paste the data into the chat GPT itself, one, obviously it can overwhelm the chat GPT, the formatting can get messed up. What I'll also do is take screenshots and I'll upload the screenshots. But I love, man, I love linking the file. So I really, really, I've never done this before. This is great. So I absolutely love that we can add the file by linking it here. And then ChatGPT also gives you more options where it's like create an image, deep research, things like that. But and then down here is where it says connect to Google Drive. If
Yeah.
you go down more, the
Yep.
ellipsis, more, connect, Google Drive, OneDrive, etc. So really, really love this. This is great. And I love that we start, for those of us who are just starting with our data, put it in some kind of a Google sheet or some kind of a sheet on your drive, link it to ChatGPT, and then go ahead and have it start analyzing for you. I love that.
Yeah, I mean
So Ron,
that's a very simple way to take something that you have, say, I talked to a guy that was buying a pool business like a year and a half ago, and we were
mm,
talking about like what does he do, and he's local. So like I'm having this conversation face to face with him. Is like this dude has all of this information in all of these fires that are just spread out through his office. And he's like, how do I start to understand all of this? He's the only one that understands his filing system. And I'm like, well,
yes.
you got to start going through that and figuring out how you're going to digitize it. Like there's companies that will do
Mm,
that for you. Or you're just going to have to understand it the best you can and know from day one of you owning this business, this information needs to be going somewhere. So you
yeah.
start building your own records that aren't based off of the previous owner. So
Mm,
you have to figure out what matters there to you. Like, can you understand this and start to put a concept around it? But you do need to
mm-hmm,
start entering the data in somewhere. Like,
mm-hmm.
just because we're talking about what do we do with old information doesn't mean that that is how it should continue to work. Like, you eventually need to start putting this information somewhere where you don't have to kind of patch this stuff together to get the data.
Yes, I love that. Okay, so question, Ron, when it comes to, so that's data after we've serviced a job. What about when we're going through the customer experience? One of the things that I'll start off with when I start working with any business, whether it's a trades business or otherwise, is we'll actually do a deep dive into their business at large. And one of those areas is, yes, looking at their data. How are they structuring it? What data do they have access to? Or lack thereof. But one of the big key elements is we actually move through the customer journey by way of talking to every single person in the organization in terms of the leadership roles, people representing the sales department, the fulfillment department, the ops, etc. So what we'll primarily look for is, where are the breakdowns in the customer journey? Where is there inconsistency? Where is the handoff broken, either on a digital level or a manual? They're doing the transition. And so what we have found is that so often it's the lead comes in, they're spending so much money on getting the lead, they're spending so much money on cultivating the sales team. But then the salesman fails at doing a great handoff after selling the job to the fulfillment department, that then the customer is like, well, okay, well, when am I scheduled? What's the date? What's happening? And then frankly, they sold the job and then they lose the job because there's not good communication on the back end. So we spend so much time on like the top half of the funnel that the bottom half is completely ignored. And then the customer feels, they feel confused, and nobody wants to feel uncertain about what is happening, especially in their home, their sanctuary. This is our space. And anytime there's confusion for home services businesses, that's when, man, you lose out on a lot of business, and they're probably going to go to your competitors. So in regards to the customer journey, you talk about providing photos along the way to track progress, really allowing for customer communication. Can you talk about that? After we close the sale, what happens to you in your perspective, and what you facilitate for your clients and customers that really allows them to really thrill and delight?
Yeah, absolutely. So hence why BuilderComs exists. Like
Yeah.
that transition is broken. And I think one of the, as you were talking, one of the things that comes to mind for me is like, the reason that is the way it is because that's where we put all the emphasis. We literally put all of our time on how do we market ourselves to be great at all of this stuff, instead of actually figuring out how to be great at it. Like, maybe if we just focused in on being great communicators, being great sharers of what is happening, keeping clients up to date, keeping the team up to date, facilitating the conversation between the sales and production or sales and operations side, instead of spending all this time on actually what does it look like to the word that we're great at. Because if you inherently spend that time, that money on being great at those things, that will become your company's reputation out in public, and your marketing can follow that up. But like, I think if you go back, we had a great conversation in our last conversation about this handoff and what needs to be in place other than software. But what we need to do is focus on this and not focus on how do we look like we're great at it. And we just need to focus on being great at it. And that's what matters. Like, how, let's facilitate this conversation between the sales and the operations side of things. How do we hand this off? How do we set up not just our team, but our clients to have an amazing communication experience with us? What does that look like? How do we make sure that our customers have the information they need, like contracts, change orders, the dates we're going to actually be out there, like the calendar? My favorite and biggest one, why BuilderComs is it, like, almost the core reason why, is customers never know who to talk to in your business. and you need a way to be able to, like, how do you set the customer up to make sure they do not hear the words, sorry, I am not the right person. I got tired of saying that. I got tired of hearing people say that. And it's like, how do we get the client talking to the right person? That's one of the underlying magics of BuilderComs is our ability with our channels of communication to work as air traffic control to make sure that client's talking to the right person. Because like that's critical. If that client every time they're reaching out is talking to the wrong person and a sticky note's getting created, or they're like, we'll have such and such call you back, that's where the ball gets dropped. So I think what we need to do is, instead of investing in making us look like we're great at these things, we should invest in being great at them. So training our teams, having the conversations, investing in the softwares that allow us to do this, training on the software. Like, if we do that, the reputation, everything that we want to market will organically happen.
Mm. Well, yes, because honestly, you say it will organically happen, Ron. People are now going to have a thrilling customer experience, and then our customers become our cheapest and best advocates for us after the job. You know, one of
Mm-hmm.
our clients, 22% of their entire customer base was referrals. That's what we want. And we want more. Like, how do we actually increase the bottom of the funnel? But to the point of what we were talking about earlier is that we spend so much time at the top of the funnel. And so I think that this is just honestly a big rallying cry to all of us in the trades. How do we focus at the bottom, middle, and bottom to ensure that we're really able to deliver on what we share, so that the training extends beyond the call center, beyond our sales team, down into those various parts of the funnel? And it doesn't have to be, to your point, it doesn't have to be so manual. It can be a system that it's burn and turn. You upload the picture and it automatically sends it over. I'm working with my team right now of how do we ensure that our project management tool automatically sends the task to the next person, rather than our team having to manually go and say, hey, this is ready for your review. Each one of those manual tasks allows for there to be a discrepancy. Oops, I forgot. A missed handoff, thus a missed deadline. And when our customers are the ones that are going to bear the ramification of that, that's where we need to allow for a system to come in and really help us. And Ron, I really believe this. We cannot scale if we're tied to these manual processes. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think as everything evolves, there's a lot of stuff that you can't automate in construction,
Mm,
but there's a lot of
yeah.
things that you can. And when you're talking about like what happens when X happens or Y happens, what does that look like? I think that's how we have to be looking at automations in the construction industry, is like when a task is done, where does this then pick up and go? So it doesn't just drop through. There doesn't necessarily have to be this handoff. Like, there doesn't have to be a handoff between operations and finance if, when the final payment's collected, finance knows. Like, then it doesn't have to be like, here's the packet. Like, that can be an automation that happens without having to have a conversation. And I it automations fascinate me because you have two different theories on it in construction. It's I want none, or I want everything. And like that, neither one of those is feasible. Like, you can't be on either side of that. Like, there's a happy medium where you figure out in your business what you can automate and what that looks like.
Mm,
And it's not everything and it's not nothing. And I just, those two thought processes, like, we don't have to be an extreme on this. Every business is unique, every business is different, so those automations will look different for every business out there. And that's
mm,
my personal thought on that.
yes. I appreciate that lens because especially with how much AI is being discussed, I'm going to be on a podcast next week, and he said to me, he was like, "Hey, please don't talk about AI. That's everything people are talking about." And it is overwhelming because to your point, it's either all or nothing, and it is disruptive unless we slowly drip in these tools. And it's not just AI, it's processes. And it can be manual process, it could be an AI automated process, but it needs to be a process to inform the manner in which we engage with our customer. Otherwise, there's lack of consistency, there's lack of reliability, and there's lack of accountability for our teams to ensure that we, even to your point at the very, very beginning of how are we even tracking data to begin with, apart from process, there's going to be inconsistent data capture. And so, if data is really the thing that we need in order to grow and forecast our businesses for the purpose of scaling, and, y'all, this comes back to the question of what is your goal with your business? Is it legacy? Is it preservation? Is it exit? And so, unless we know why we're doing what we're doing, what's the direction we're heading, it's going to be hard to really be tracking the right kind of data and thus ensure we have the right systems in place to ensure that the data is being captured and the customers are being cared for in the right manner.
Yeah.
Ron, to that
So,
point, yeah, go ahead, please.
AI it's a hot topic. It's the core thing. Like, so here's BuilderCom's stance on AI is we believe it should just make everybody better at what they're already great at. So we work it into our software and you wouldn't even know uh, because we don't like it's. Of course, I own BuilderComs AI. I own all this stuff around AI just because I need to own the domains and the proprietary stuff around it. But my mission to the software and the development of this was take any mention of AI out of everything. It should just be part of the flow of what happens. It shouldn't be like we need this marketing tactic to say that we have AI that does XYZ. What it should do is just make people feel more intuitive in our software. It should just make them better at who they already are. And we don't need to tag it some tagline. It's just in there. So like that's how the new version of BuilderComs is like this stuff with AI just happens and you don't even need to know or necessarily understand it because like that's what people want. Like it should just be there doing what it is and like not interrupting what you feel is the ebb and flow to how you use software. I think like that's at least where I'm at. I think a lot of people are is like every piece of software you go in, there's like this AI pop up to do this or like click this button to be like, shouldn't it just automatically happen? Like within this, like if this truly makes me better, if it makes your software better, shouldn't it just automatically be happening in there? Like to me, yes. So like that's how we built BuilderComs is where the AI stuff is just in there doing what it does, and it doesn't necessarily interfere with your life and what you're doing. We don't require you to click more buttons for it to happen. Like it just happens like in the messages with the sentiment and the highlighting messages and all of this stuff the
Mm-hmm.
reports like you just click the button to generate the report because like we need to have the freshest data possible. It's not like,
Right.
oh hey, get your AI report blah blah blah. Like it's just analyze your schedule, like understand are you on time, like our calendar how we
Mm,
have built that out is in a way where like you just do I have conflicts, do you not, like are the crews at the right places, like this stuff just is there because it should be there and it's just labored exactly what it is like and that's what I
mhm.
think the conversation around AI and software needs to be. It shouldn't be like, how
Right.
do we plug in AI so we can say, like, I'm going to rebrand the company BuilderComs AI because we're now an AI company because we have AI in our software. It should be just like I talk about myself, is like, how does AI make Ron Nussbaum better? From a software perspective, I have asked the question is, how does AI make BuilderComs better for our
Mm-hmm.
customers without overcomplicating things? Because like that's all core thing. Like we're a simple piece of software to utilize, and we need to stay that because that's what our
Yeah.
customers want. So
Mm.
that's what I
I
believe the conversation around AI should be.
I love your point, Ron, about how AI is not going to come in and fix your company. If it's broken, it's not going to be a magic potion. So effectively, what are the bones of your business? Do you have the right processes in place? And yes, where's there opportunity to automate it? I'm actually on the BuilderCom website right now, and one of the things that I just so appreciate is the simplicity of it. And I love that people can try it for free, and really they get to experience the sending project updates, centralizing the messaging, because that's one of the things that one of our clients, they had a custom CRM that they had built, so that was kind of a nightmare. But there were so many people that were talking with the customer online, but then also via text, also via email. And so it was like, wait, who really was the last touch point with the customer? So I love that there's that centralized place, but then also for sharing files. There's something about what you're talking about, the simplicity of getting it across the finish line and serving the customer. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's not adding in all this excess, but it's about ensuring. And what would you even say? I mean, the outcomes of using a system like BuilderComs, using BuilderComs, is it for consistent communication? Is it for making the customer feel seen and heard? Like, what really happens in the transformation of somebody who uses it and someone who doesn't use it? Like, what's the real transformation?
I would say the chaos starts to go away. The callback
Mm,
go away.
yeah.
The complaints
Yeah.
go away. The confusion with your team, the client, go away. And you think our website's simple now, swing by at the end of September here, and it's
Yay.
going to be a lot more simpler. Like its simplicity is what I believe is lacking from the software industry, especially in the construction world. So we're going to simplify it down even more. And our software, what's amazing is our software is expanding. Like from user
Mm,
feedback from our customers, they want more. We're going to give them more. As it expands,
mm,
we're simplifying it even more. Like our
yeah.
message, what does this look like? How does the software continue to stay simple as we grow it into a multitude of different functions and not just be this core messaging platform, which is what we have built the business on, is how do we give our
Mm,
customers what they truly want, which is more in the project management realm of things.
right.
And simplicity will win, and our website's going to become even more simpler than I think most people could even imagine. Because I just
Awesome.
continue to strip complexity away from everything
Yes.
because I know that complexity is what will lead to our customers' failures. And I know simplicity is what will allow them to win. So I want to position them in a way where they can win.
Ron, I believe you mentioned this. So correct me if I'm wrong here. You mentioned, we were talking about what's the transformation of before having something like BuilderComs in place to moving to a process like BuilderComs. You said effectively the elimination of chaos, bringing peace and order and precision into customer client communication, reliability. But you talked about callbacks. Can you tell me the stat there? How much money do we stand to risk with callbacks?
So miscommunication costs your average construction business over $400,000 a year. And that is in callbacks, repairs not being there, lost jobs,
Wow.
discounts. So basically, over $4,000 an employee a year is what this costs you. I prefer headaches, like because that's what I had. Like the money sucked, like to lose
Yes.
the money, but the headaches in the late nights at the customers' houses trying to fix this
Yeah.
stuff, that's the real pain. Like that
Wild.
is, and then we talked about the 10x rule
Yeah.
last time I was on here, which is if something costs you $100 at design, during the build to change it will cost you 1,000, and then if you have to go back after completion and redo it, it will cost you $10,000.
Wow.
And that ain't my numbers. That is a study that was done
Mm.
on construction and what are the
Wow.
actual impacts of the cost throughout that project. And it's always the most expensive to go back and have to fix stuff at a later time. And pretty much everything that is a callback, a go back,
Mm-hmm.
is related to communication. If
Wow.
somebody would have just had a conversation at some point in time, it would have been avoided. And that's what BuilderComs is here. We're here to help facilitate those
Right.
conversations.
Right. Ron, I am so grateful for this. Can you tell me how people can come to learn more about BuilderComs and what it looks like? I'm looking at the opportunity here for people to join for free and to experience,
Mm-hmm.
kind of that initial, and it's not even just like do a week trial. It's actually free forever unless they actually want to grow and expand, correct?
Yeah, so we have a really robust free offer. We're going to kind of reel that in a little bit with the new launch, but we will still have a free forever offer because I believe that's how people can actually try out a piece of software and understand it. You don't need
Yeah.
14 days. You don't need 30 days. You
Right.
basically need full access for like 24 hours, but people don't believe that. But
Mm,
if I give you one project free forever, so if you're a smaller company and you're only doing one project at a time, you can use our software free indefinitely like that.
love it.
Go right ahead, utilize it. And then as you grow and do more projects, you're going to have to pay for it. Like
Yeah. Makes
that
sense.
works. Like we bring value to your business. You bring value to all business then through paying other. So yeah, we
Yeah.
do. I mean, I just believe like why not just give it
Mm,
away from a project perspective so like
mm,
people can actually get on there and give it a try and then decide
hmm.
if this is something they
Right.
want to utilize. And it's worked out well so far. That has been one of
Love it.
our since like day one. We were a free project. Right now, we're a little bit more robust than that, and that's just because we were trying to drive a lot of user feedback as we build out the new platform. So we pretty much just stripped away our lowest tier and just made it free to continue the conversation with our end users as we built what we have. But we will
Good.
always have a free forever plan because we went to market with a free forever plan, the one project, and we will continue to have that going into next month, where people will be able to continue to
Wonderful.
use our software.
Ron, I'm so grateful for this tool, especially given, my experience in my family business, seeing how much was in spreadsheets on physical paper. I really am so grateful for this tool. So thank you so, so much for sharing about this. I love the free experience that people can have, especially for folks who aren't there yet with their business. And so you can scale with this, trying it for free. Ron, thank you, my friend. I'm so grateful for your own experience, wherewithal of having a trades business yourself and then evolving to build this so that it's so custom to what home services and trades owners need. So really grateful for you. Thank you for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I hope you will join us next when we talk about all things craft and calling, how to allow for our customers to really feel cared for throughout